Okay, good afternoon, everyone, or good morning, depending on where you are, or good evening, perhaps. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm Clémence Kucera. I'm the Assistant Dean for the Graduate Law Programs at McGeorge School of Law. And with me today, we have three wonderful alumni, and a fourth one is going to join us shortly. So thank you so much for our guests to be here. Before we start the discussion, with our alumni, I just wanted to tell you a little bit about McGeorge. So we are located in Sacramento, California, and it's a beautiful day today. We have 3 LLM programs that we offer, one in US law and policy, another one in water and environmental law, and the last one in transnational business practice. I won't go into details about the curriculum of the program that we offer today, because really the focus is a discussion with our alumni. But you can join us for our next webinar if you want to have a little bit more info about the program itself. Otherwise, I'm happy to schedule a one-on-one to discuss with you your career goals and to see which LLM programs would be a better fit for you. So as you can see on the slide, we ask you that you do not take any screenshots of personal or attendees here. We ask you that you do not reproduce or copy any of the slides. If you're interested in any of them, feel free to email me and I'll be more than happy to share them with you. But we just want to remind you of our copyright rules. So all of our programs, all of our alumni here, they, I think 2 of them and the fourth one who's going to come, 2 of you did the LLM in US law and policy, and 2 of you did the US law and policy. The LLM in water and environmental law is a very specific and more narrow focused LLM programs that that international students tend not to do, because many of our international students do want to take a bar exam in the United States. Again, more than happy to meet one-on-one with you to discuss with you your options. So let's get to it, Alumni Spotlight. So with me today is Carolina Rondon, who is an immigration attorney. She is practicing out of Las Vegas, Nevada. Yanning Li. Carolina, I see that you're unmuted.
Yeah, I just wanted to say hi.
Thank you. Yanning Li. I should say that, Carolina, that you're from Colombia originally, and you did your LLM program and graduated in 2017.
Yes, I did.
Yeah. Yanning Li is from China originally. She graduated in 2009, and she has traveled a lot for work, and she is now based at UNC in Vienna. Thank you for joining us.
Hello, everyone.
Also in Vienna is Jaime Weiss, who graduated in a few years ago. I forgot the exact years, probably in 2019. Okay, to 2019, and he's based so in Vienna at Volkswagen. And let me see if Daniil Vlasenko is here joining us from Switzerland. Because of the work that he is doing, we're not able to list the firm that he's working at, but Daniil graduated from McGeorge in 2000, remind me of the year, 2008? 2018, yes.
I'm not that old.
So it's just the years don't mean much to me anymore. I'm just completely with this pandemic, I just cannot keep track of time. So, but thank you so much all for joining us today. So for our participants, I encourage you to use the chat function and to ask your questions as we will have this conversation. Do not wait until the end to ask your questions. I do have a list of prepared questions that I would like to ask our alumni. So I'm going to open my chat. Sorry, it's a lot of different windows to manage. If I can find my mouse so I can keep track of it. Okay, so my first question for you is, could you please each introduce yourself and talk a little bit about the work that you do and where do you work? Carolina.
Okay, thank you. Clémence, just like you said, I'm an immigration attorney. I got my license from California last year, 2021. Graduated McGeorge from the transnational program in 2017. Right now, I'm working as a junior attorney at an immigration law firm. We do mostly family immigration. And yeah, we work with, I personally do mostly core work. So I help people, immigrants who are facing deportation proceedings. So we're defending them. We're on the defense part of the proceedings.
Thank you. Yanning?
Thank you. So I'm the oldest one. I graduated from the LLM program in transnational business in 2009, 14 years ago. So currently I'm a legal officer at the United Nations Office of Legal Affairs, International Trade Law Division, based in Vienna. We serve as the secretariat to the United Nations Commission on International Trade Law, UNCITRAL, which is a subsidiary organ of the General Assembly established in 1966. UNCITRAL's work focuses on the modernization and harmonization of rules on international trade, and through the development of legislative texts, such as international convention, model law, and the legislative guide, covering areas such as e-commerce, dispute resolution, mediation and arbitration, international sale of goods, insolvency, security interests, and so on. I actually joined UNCITRAL only 2.5 years ago, and prior to that, after McGeorge, I moved around a bit, and I have been working at the Permanent Court of Arbitration in The Hague, the Netherlands, and Clifford Chang's law firm in London, and also the Asian Development Bank in Manila, the Philippines.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Yanning. Heimo?
Hi, everyone. My name is Heimo Weiss, and I'm from Austria. I did my undergrad in mechanical engineering, and after that, I decided to study law in Austria. And I finished the LLM program in 2019, and now I'm in Vienna in a law firm, Wolf Theis, in the disputes team and arbitration team. My daily business is preparing brief submissions, preparing for hearings, communication with clients, like the normal regular stuff as an attorney. Most of it is in 60% is in English. Yeah.
Thank you, Heimo. Daniel?
So yeah, hi everyone. So my name is Daniel Vlasenko, and I'm happy to see you all. And I want also to take the opportunity to congratulate Carolina with passing the California bar. So it's amazing. So if I need to introduce myself, so I graduated from McGeorge in 2018. Since then, I moved a bit. So I worked in New York at Baker McKenzie after McGeorge. So I did my OPT in New York. Then I had I would say, not a very long shift in-house. So it was actually a great experience as well, just to compare it with the law firms. Now I'm working in one of the Swiss law firms. I'm doing mostly commercial arbitration, investment arbitration, and sports arbitration. So this is probably, I guess, enough for my introduction, and I will be totally fine to give the floor for other questions.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Daniel. So let's talk a little bit about, obviously, like, your experience at McGeorge, but more precisely, what is a skill or the skills that you've learned at McGeorge that you use daily in your work or very regularly?
Okay, I guess I go first. Well, for me, I would say English is my second language. I'm coming from Colombia. When I started my master, I was actually doing the master and learning English. So it was a big challenge for me. But at the same time, definitely like the master helped me a lot to improve or learn those legal writing skills and analytical thinking. I think the McGeorge helped personally me a lot with even like some grammar classes were provided for us because I think that they understand that we coming from a different place with different language, and they understand that language could be a great barrier for us. So yeah, I had some grammar classes, and I just being able to write down like all the exams were in writing. All of that helped me a lot to practice, and I do believe that prepared me for taking bar and for what I'm doing now, that mostly in writing, in English writing, of course. So yeah, just to sum up, like legal writing and analytical thinking, it was like skills that I learned during the program.
Thank you very much. Anyone else want to share on the skills? Yes, Yan Yang.
I will go the second. Actually, it's quite similar because English is not my first language. So in terms of, before I go to the skills, just want to briefly mention in terms of subject matter, because now I work in the area of international trade law. So almost everything I learned during the program in transnational business practice is totally relevant, because the current work we do, we actually cannot predict what the future project will cover. It's proposed by the member states. So it could be any area of international trade law. So it's super relevant. And for skills, and the same as Carolina, for research skills and analytical skills, which I recall that during my first month at McGeorge, in class, I was shocked that the professor didn't repeat the case study in the class and ask us directly to dive into the discussion, which was not what I used to in China. In China, we would go through the summary again, and then I have time to react to what to say. But there, I felt that there was a lot of preparation before, a lot of reading in English, and you really have to analyze the case beforehand, and then be able to follow the discussion during the class. And also, there is not really any right answer or so-called template answer, because as long as your reasoning makes sense, you are correct. That was also not what I used to back then in China, where we always have to know what is the correct answer. So I think all these skills are super relevant for what my daily work is, which currently is actually writing papers and preparing draft legislative texts by deliberation by government representatives.
Thank you very much.
Personally, after this year at McGeorge, I lost any fear of speaking English, which was my biggest fear, to be honest. Nowadays, and to be honest, I make mistakes, a lot of mistakes, grammar mistakes, writing mistakes. It's not perfect, but I just stopped caring, and it built a lot of confidence this year at McGeorge. So I would say that was the biggest advantage taking a year abroad. And from a subject matter perspective, it's arbitration, commercial arbitration, focusing, because at Austrian university, you don't have any class on arbitration or something. It's just not taught in school. And at McGeorge, there was this class, I think it's Professor Wong, it's commercial and international investment arbitration. And I started at the law firm at Wolf Tyson. We had this big arbitration case. It was ICC arbitration. And I actually without McGeorge, I would have to start from scratch, and that was not the case because the basics of arbitration I already had my skill set. So that was a big advantage compared to my peers. So yeah.
Thank you.
So yeah, I guess it's my turn now. So I totally agree with most of the speakers, and I just want to first pick up on the point that in the US law school, there are never the right answer or correct answer as long as your reasoning is good. So I mean, that was a very big difference from the legal studies in Russia, because probably we have the same approach as in China. And in university, like if your answer is not correct, then it's like already like basically a failure. And in US, it's totally fine to just give your reasoning. So that was something which I totally agree with. In terms of skills, I would say that, like, surprisingly for me, one of the most helpful classes I took at McGeorge, which helps me more or less every day, is legal writing. Even though back when I was at McGeorge, I couldn't say that it was my favorite, because if you remember, we were having classes more often than the other classes. So you needed to prepare some papers regularly, so a couple of papers per week. And now, like the main advantage I feel that, for example, while I was in Russia, the Russian legal writing is very difficult. So sometimes for a person with non-legal background, it is almost impossible to understand what is written. So maybe my mindset was kind of the same, like, oh, I'm a lawyer, I'm writing with some legalese and in a very difficult way. And when you start getting to those legal writing classes, you understand that you should write really with short sentences, completely understandable to anyone, following IREC principles. And at first you're thinking that your writing is not that natural since you're following this, like the rules of IREC, for example. But when you're getting used to it, you understand how easy flowing it is, because like now I feel when I'm structuring my writing, I'm still using those skills, and I guess that you can apply them in any language in any jurisdiction because it is just logically coherent. So this is one of the things which I think I gained from studying at McGeorge.
Thank you. Thank you so much, all of you, for the answer. And I am smiling to your answers because, yes, legal English and legal writing are usually the two courses that students very much do not particularly enjoy, because it is more work. It's it's not as exciting as taking like arbitration course and international arbitration course, but yet it's good to hear that with a little bit of perspective you all realize that it's a foundational skills. And McGeorge, we have strength in this area. And I'm glad to hear that you're all still using those skills that you've learned in those classes. Obviously, the substantive courses were also, as Jaime mentioned, like crucial, and you too, Yanning, crucial to the work that you're doing today, and that is likely. I'm hoping that those courses like help you decide on your career path and helps you with your current position. So if I can talk a little bit more now about like your career at large. I think some of you have mentioned it, but how do you think the LLM actually influenced your career?
Well, for me, in big ways. Honestly, like I literally wouldn't be where I am right now if it wasn't because of my whole experience in McGeorge. And I feel like I need to explain that a little bit. And it's like I did the transnational business, and I think I'm the only one from the four of us who is actually practicing in the United States. And I never planned that. Honestly, like that was never in my plans. Like I remember the first day when I started planning my program with Jocelyn, and Clémence, they asked me, okay, do you want to take the bar? And I was like, heck no, like, no. I was super afraid of the bar. And I was like, what I want to do is more like international things. Like that's, you know, that's what drove me here. That's what drove me to learn another language. That's what drove me to do an master degree in another country. And but you know, all my classes were international related, except for I took contracts because I believed like it was a good foundation. Everything else was like international, and I did take immigration. And just, I don't know why, like, I don't know why. It was God's plan for me to take immigration, I guess. But the immigration class, I met my professor and we created a really good relationship. And at the end of my program, towards the end of my program, the LLM, I asked her if you know, if she could give me some recommendations to find a job, because it was time for me to find out my OPT, and I really wanted to have some practice in the United States, to keep practicing my English, to keep practicing everything. And I was like, well, you know, like, why not try immigration? I really liked it. The class, it was really interesting. I really liked it. And she wrote a beautiful email for me to 5 of her friends, personal friends, and one of their personal friends is my boss now. And I've been with my boss working in this law firm for almost 5 years. It's gonna be 5 years this year. So so you know, like, that's why I say, like, I never planned to be here, but somehow I'm here, and it's because of my experience at McGeorge, my experience at the master. I think I'm answering the question. I don't know.
Yes, yes,
Okay.
you are. Thank you. Thank you very much. I think so. For those of you who are listening to us, like Carolina mentioned OPT, and Daniel also the OPT. So the OPT is the optional practical training. It's actually a part of your student visa. As an F1 visa holder in the United States, like you are eligible to apply for a temporary work authorization, which we call OPT, optional practical training. And many of our students do take advantage of that opportunity because it allows you, by just filing a document with Immigration Services, to get authorization to work and to receive remuneration in the United States. So, so I think, so I just wanted to clarify this point. So what about you, Yanning?
Yes, for me, it's actually totally a door opener in many, many ways. So other than taking the courses, which of course helped me with knowledge with the subject matter and all those research analytical skills, I was also able to enjoy the internship program. I don't know if it's still ongoing. Back then,
Yes.
back then I was, so during the last 3 months of my program, I moved to Phoenix and joined Squire Sanders insolvency team. That was very interesting, and the partner there was actually a professor at McGeorge. It was one of my first experience in a big law firm in the US, and also 2009. It's the time starting of the global crisis, so the insolvency law team was really busy. And the partner was actually representing a famous hockey team. So when he told me I could follow him to the courtroom, and I literally saw all the journalists waiting for him outside, try to interview him because he was representing the ice hockey team. So for me, it was it's a very interesting experience on multiple levels. And other than the internship program, I was also able to sit in the New York bar, which was actually, I think, one of the reasons that I was able to get my first real job by chance. Because when I first got, my first job was at the Permanent Court of Arbitration in The Hague. And initially they were hiring a Chinese speaking person to work as assistant legal counsel in the program just for a half a year period. And after I entered the court, I realized there was not much for me to do, because what they needed is actually to have somebody who is able to handle any cases in Chinese, but there was none. The reality is that international arbitration is based in English, so that from time to time there were some inquiries in Chinese, but that wouldn't take more than 1 hour of my day. So there was the rest, but will only get paid on if I work on an hourly rate. So what I did was I felt that I was there. I wanted to learn more, so I actively asking other colleagues to give me more work. And so they give me work in English. And then when my boss found it out, that he told me this is not under my contract because I will only be paid hourly rate in a Chinese work. And then I told him I wouldn't need payment for this extra, I just need experience. So when the period finished, he was about to end my contract. And then his excuse was, and then I asked them, how can I apply for a real position to be able to work in English? And then he told me, oh, you need to maybe get a pass the bar exam. And I was shocked that he totally forgot I do have a bar. So, and he's from California. So I said, you have a California bar, I have a New York bar. What's the difference? So then he allowed me opportunity to work it. So that was helped me tremendously to be able to get into the first step. And then gradually, eventually I stayed 6 years in the court. So I'm very grateful for this experience.
Wow, what a story. Jaime?
Well, McGeorge actually is the reason why I'm working at both sides right now. To explain that a little bit, there is a job fair in New York. I think it's still running. I don't know.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, it's hosted by NYU, and it's huge from a European perspective, at least as far as I can tell. Especially from Austria, there are like, I don't know, every big law firm from Austria has is there. Offering job interviews. You have to apply in advance, and one of the firms was Wolf Theis. There were several other law firms I had job interviews with, and that actually kind of opened the door for me to work at Wolf Theis. So I guess without McGeorge, maybe I would not be in Vienna. I don't know, maybe in Salzburg, where my hometown is actually. I don't know. Based on my experience with regard to my colleagues, I think in LLM in general speaking, is from an HR perspective higher rated than a PhD, at least in Austria, if you want to work in an international law firm. Most of my colleagues studied in the UK or in the United States. So I think it's nearly a must. Not a must, but it's good to have, put it that way. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Again, I agree with most of the points which other speakers raised. So one of the things which I think is very important, and I will give a couple of reasons, not in like priority order. So one of the things which I found very influential and helpful is that by studying at the LLM, you can really widen your network. And one of the best connections you can get is the people with whom you had experience to study. So for example, I know that if I have a question in Austrian law, in Belgian law, in German law, I have guys who are like of my age, who are also associates in other European firms. So I know that I can give them a call basically at any time, and I can get an honest answer. So this is very helpful, apart from like other, like let's say friendship and other connections, but from like professional career things, that is very helpful. Also, I want to add a couple of words about career fair in New York. So I actually had a chance to go there as well. And that also kind of influenced my career, because even though I didn't get an offer after getting there, but while I was in New York, I approached some other law firms and I got also a couple of interviews. And as I said in the beginning, I ended up staying for a year in New York working for Baker McKenzie. And that is definitely a very good line in my CV. And I know that I can always count on that. And also this year really gave me a lot of connections because I really had a chance to work with very prominent arbitration specialists. And some of them are even arbitrators, so that also widening your understanding of this field. Also from a career perspective, I think what was very helpful is that the CDO office of McGeorge was always super helpful. For example, with all the CVs, cover letters. So I remember getting to CDO and we were rewriting my CV, I don't know, for like 3 or 4 times. So it will really fit into the, I would say, US standards, because inevitably, like in different jurisdictions, in different countries, there are different requirements. And I may thought that my CV was perfect, but we really rewrote it. I don't know, like 80% of CV was rewritten. So that also could have helped me throughout the time, because I mean, I'm still using the same templates. I'm just adding some extra information and following the rules which were shared with me. So yeah, I guess I will stop on this point and we can get to other questions. Otherwise, I can talk and talk and talk and give you some other reasons.
Thank you, Daniel. So Daniel referred to the studio, which is our career development office at McGeorge that serves our law students, all of our law students, JD students and LLM students. So yeah, so let's switch a little bit to perhaps something not as academic, but what is your best experience about your or best memory perhaps from your McGeorge LLM program?
Well, memories, I have a lot of memories. Some like very stressing memories, because honestly, like it can be sometimes hard. Like it is challenging. I'm not gonna come here and lie to you guys. Like it could be challenging, especially for us. Like we're learning new form of law. Like most of us are coming from civil law systems, and we're coming here to learn common law systems. But at the same time, like while I was there, I was just seeing like it was stressing for everybody, like not just the international students, also like the GT students. Like we were on this together, everybody. Like in McGeorge, you could feel like the spirit of like family. I think like one of the things that I remember the most of McGeorge is just walking through the quad and like saying hi to people. Like it's beautiful, the campus is beautiful, and just like you're in California, it's sunny most of the time, so it's super nice, the weather. And so I do remember going to my professor's house, like Professor Frank, I believe. She lived in her farm, and she invited us over to her house just to have, like, I believe it was to celebrate Thanksgiving. And that was amazing. Like that was like a unique experience. You really don't have that in most schools. And some other professor also invited us to his ranch just to have dinner, just all the international students. It's like, I think that what I will hold forever in my heart for McGeorge is definitely those memories that I created with other peoples, with the students, with the professors, with the faculty, the friendships that I cultivated there. That's that for me. That's also always gonna be my best takeaway from McGeorge.
Thank you. Yes, Yanning.
Yes, I will echo Carolina's point on the professors inviting us during the holiday seasons. I also find it very, very special. And also I was very impressed that all these places we were invited to has beautiful gardens, because in China it's very rare to have a house with huge garden. And that was my first year abroad, and also first impression of these so-called American dreams. So other than that part, memories, for me, the campus life was really one of the best I had. Because I live on the dorm on campus. So there was a lot of LM students in the same building. We studied together, we cooked together. So you never felt, although I was so far from home, but I never felt alone during those times. And other than that, I remember somehow I managed to get a part-time job in the gym, which I also find was a very good deal because essentially I was sitting there just reading and preparing for the class, and only thing I need to do is press the button when someone wants to come in. And even that I could get $8 per hour. And back then was I felt I was so rich, and I even met a boyfriend there, so it was even more special. So overall, the McGeorge experience is really good, although it's already 14 years for me, but I could still remember all those images vividly. Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, I want to start with a memory I have from my welcome week at McGeorge. It was a video call with an alumni. It was Faith, and he told us, like, he repeated this phrase: "You will be fine. You will be fine. You will be fine." Because we were all scared about learning, studying, and everything, and we were kind of stressed out. And he always said, "You will be fine." And I can sign that statement right away. You will be fine. When it comes to California, McGeorge was the best year of my life. We bought a car, so we traveled a lot. And I'm from Austria, so I love skiing. We went to Lake Tahoe, like in the winter, like every weekend, and then sometimes on the next day we went to the sea and go surfing. So it's like Sacramento is like the place locally, like geographically, is amazing because you have the mountains and the sea next door. Actually, in San Francisco is also not that far away. So it's amazing. And then I joined in the second semester. I joined the rugby club, which was great. Then you can like connect also to the Americans, because normally, like in the first semester, we were kind of an international family, traveling a lot, like going to Mexico, Tijuana, and stuff. But then in the second semester, after joining the rugby club, you kind of get involved with the Americans, and in the open stores, you get invited to dinners, Thanksgiving, for example, which is a huge thing, and I didn't know. So, well, it was a family, and I'm still in contact with all of the guys. I will get married next year, and I invited them over to Austria. So it's amazing.
Fantastic. Thank you. Daniel?
So it's sometimes a bit difficult to go forth because other speakers really mentioned some amazing points which I can totally relate to. So I totally agree that if you live especially on campus, the atmosphere is great. So really, like, you have all your classmates living there, and it's easier to get together. And since the campus is like relatively small, like you can really get together with anyone easily. And if you're an international student, you're just getting into groups, and it's amazing that you can go and have a dinner all the time or have a trip somewhere. So that is an amazing part of studying in California and studying at McGeorge. I would say that like one of the greatest memory is that throughout my year, I understand that sometimes it can be challenging because you're studying, you have some exams, it may be stressful, but overall, like, for example, I felt that this stress is nothing compares to work. So you're just really having a trouble-free year where you can really enjoy your life, because studying is like fun in the US and in other country, and the classes are really entertaining. So you're having fun studying, you have really a lot of free time. And I know that someone would say that, yeah, like you need to read a lot before classes and stuff. So that's true, but still you have a lot of free time, and you have a lot of people with the same kind of, I would say, not problems, but the same like issues that, yeah, we need to study, but we also need to travel and to enjoy our time. So my like overall impression was great, because before I went to McGeorge, I worked in one of the Russian law firms for a couple of years. So after 2 years of working pretty hardly, it was amazing to really just spend some time studying and just enjoying the time. And I guess if I need to choose maybe one memory, I would say that I was a commencement speaker. So that was a very interesting thing, because that was like an American movie when you going into the graduation, you have all the attributes, you're getting to the stage, like a couple of thousand people listening to you. So that was something new to me, and I still remember that moment. Like the only bad thing that I don't have video of my speech. It's still bothering me a bit, but overall it was great.
Thank you. I think we may have a video of you, Danielle. I have to look it up, but I'm going to look into this.
Yeah, I would be very grateful, because I remember that right after graduation, it was impossible to find the like official video or something. So I was getting some, like phone videos here and there.
Okay, I'm gonna look into that for you. I'm gonna look into that. So before we open it up for questions, although I don't see any questions in the chat, so I encourage our attendees to post that question. But any word of advice from any of you, like to someone who's considering doing an LLM program, why, and perhaps why McGeorge? Go ahead. Maybe there's, thank you, Carolina.
Well, why McGeorge? I think like we made a very good point before. Just listening to all the memories made me very emotional, because it was a great experience. It was a great year. For me, and I'm gonna repeat this over and over. For me, the family, the welcoming environment in McGeorge is amazing. I remember sitting down crying in Clémence's office, and she just like trying to talk to me and telling me that everything was gonna be okay. I remember like knocking into professors' office doors and just coming and talking to them. Like I honestly don't have any experience in any other place, but I can tell you like the McGeorge, like you're never gonna feel alone. You're not gonna feel like, even though it's challenging, they're gonna leave you to like on your own. Like never. All the professors are gonna be there for you. The faculty, Clémence, Jocelyn, they were always there for me. And I'm always like that's what like I'm always gonna highlight from my experience in McGeorge. Any word of advice, I will say just enjoy the process. Again, like it can be challenging, but just enjoy the process. Like you're in California doing this program with like amazing people from all around the world. Like you have people from Europe, maybe South America, Africans. Like enjoy the process. It's probably like academic challenge, but also it's just a great opportunity to get to know people, to travel with people from other countries. Also trust the process. Like I feel like the classes are going to be different. The law system is going to be different. The way how we analyze the law, write it down, is going to be different. The language is different, but trust the process. I feel like McGeorge has prepared this program pretty well for international students. And even though it can be challenging at the beginning, just trust the process. Like go, it's going to be all right. Just like Faith, I actually, Faith was one of my dear friends, and we're still friends today. And just like Faith was saying, like it's gonna be all right. Trust the process. McGeorge does this for you. You just have to do your part and like trust them. Take all the opportunities that you can. like all the opportunities, go to all the speakers that they have, like all the, I mean, I personally got to know negotiator from a peace peace agreement in Colombia. Like Colombia, like that's a huge deal. Like I was invited to have dinner with this negotiator. Like he was part of the negotiations between the government of Colombia and the guerrillas in Colombia. So, and this is like huge deal in Colombia. And I was there just having dinner with this guy. So the work fair in New York was also a great opportunity for me. I also had some interviews with one of the best law firms in Colombia, and I was offered a job there. I just took the one over here. And the CDO, which is the career office, I was also, even like after I graduated, I had to reach out to them for some recommendation letters and my CV and all of that, and they were super helpful. So McGeorge has a lot of tools. Do like use them. Use all these tools. Like don't be afraid to knock doors. Don't be afraid to ask. Don't be afraid to take the opportunities that they have for you, and meet a lot of people. Like meet your professors, take the time to meet your classmates, take the time to meet Americans, just meet a lot of people, because just like I heard Daniel saying that, you know, like now he can ask questions about Austrian law to somebody, or law from other places to somebody, and like cultivate those friendships that one day they're gonna take you somewhere, you know, like just cultivate those friendships that are gonna build bridges for you to take you places.
Thank you. Yaning?
I feel that Carolina has mentioned almost all of it. I share many things, especially that McGeorge is a very lovely community. So that for me was my first experience of living abroad, and it really felt very like home, although it's very different from where I'm from, but it's all the professors, the coordinators, and the other international students make the life there very easy and very unforgettable for me. And then just want to highlight 3 other things that I think is quite special. First is a flexibility to choose courses. And I found that most of other programs have more fixed course curriculum, but at McGeorge, we were given the flexibility to choose. And I remember in order to take the New York bar, I need to choose certain courses that is American law. And I took those courses with JD students, which was a good experience, because I felt that the readings for JD students were actually a lot more than some of the other courses I took. Perhaps also because English is not my native language. So in the beginning, when I got the assignment of 100 pages I need to read for the next week, I thought it's impossible. And this is just one class. And I was telling myself, this is not possible until, and in the beginning, I actually literally spent the whole weekend not going anywhere, just try to finish this 100 pages. And then after these experiences, I found it very useful, because although it was a lot, but once you join the law firm, you will not have a whole week to read 100 pages. Maybe you only have a day. And sometimes if your client are a bit mean, they give you 100 to read at 7 p.m. They want it the next morning. So in a way that I felt that these experiences built up and are very, very useful. And then the second is the internship program. Do make use of it if you have opportunity, because it gives you practical experience in a US law firm, which I found it was quite helpful and unique for me, although it was only 3 months. And the third is the New York bar. I wouldn't want to emphasize again, but for me, that was totally the door opener. And because even after my first job, the second job I got was in London. I never studied in the UK. I only did a short research program at Cambridge, but it was not really a real course at all. So I don't have any license in the UK, but they were able to acknowledge my New York bar and could admit me not as a trainee, but as a second-year associate, just because I have a New York bar. So I found it it's really useful tool to have if you are doing the program there. And also just by taking the bar, the knowledge I've learned through the process was really good. And I took the Barbary, and I remember the Barbary tell you that although it was so hard to preparing for the bar, those days shall pass and so shall you. So I was counting on those sentences and try to make it to the end. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Yanning. Heimo.
I have one advice. Do it. There's not one single person who will ever, I don't know, regret studying abroad. It's amazing, and enjoy it. Because after a year at McGeorge, after doing an LLM abroad, working as I don't know, from my perspective, working as an associate, the workload is going to be big, and I wish I enjoyed my time there, but with knowing that after this year the work is going to be that much, maybe I would have enjoyed it a little bit more. But that's my advice: do it and enjoy it.
Thank you.
So what I can add to the other speakers is, when you're considering the LLM, especially in US, I know that a lot of people looking at some big schools like, I don't know, let's say Harvard, like Stanford or wherever, like all the big schools, NYU, Columbia. But I think, and I know a lot of people who used to study there, that the atmosphere is very different in a way that you have tons of people studying there. If you take the international students group, like it will be over 100 people. So for example, if you want to get in touch with the professor or ask a question, I doubt that you ever have a chance to do it, because there will be like another 50 people standing in line in front of you. So I felt that at McGeorge, where I would say it's a relatively smaller law school, everything was completely accessible. Like I could have write to any of my professors and schedule an appointment and ask any questions I had. And in some classes, for example, I had never been good at corporate law, but I understood that this is my, let's say, weak spot. So I want to get to know it better. So I was writing to Professor Gewürz, and I think I visited to his like after class hours, like, I don't know, maybe 10 times. And that helped me a lot, because I understood some of the difficult concepts in which I was not an expert at all. So, and I couldn't imagine that the same could have happened with me if I used to study at a bigger law school. Also, you should not be discouraged also of the size again, because at first I was thinking, oh, I'm going to a bit smaller law school, so what will be my professors? But if you want to check, you can open CV of any professor, and all of them will be really renowned professionals, and you will have no regrets, because all of them are known in the US and of the highest level. So I was even like a bit surprised, because I expected something like more local, I would say. And also, I guess finally, just also enjoy a nice group of people who are studying with you, because again, you have a smaller group. In my year, we had maybe like 20 people. So it was just amazing, and you're getting very close with those people, and you will have really friendship forever, I guess. And just, yeah, that's a very important part. And I agree with the last speaker who said that just enjoy the moment, and maybe in a couple of years you'll think, yeah, I even got to enjoy more. But really take the opportunity and really have fun, because studying abroad, yeah, it's super fun, and you definitely get some advantages in the future. And if someone would say that this is bad, I mean, you don't want to work with this person, I guess, because they probably don't know what it is. So.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Danielle. And thank you all for your comments. I see that we're getting on the hour and I don't see any questions from our participants. So I think this marks the end of our presentation. Thank you to our attendees for joining us, and Carolina, Yanning, Jaimo, and Danielle, thank you so much for your time. For those of you who are in Europe, unless Carolina plans to go there this summer, we are planning on hosting our next alumni reunion, who was originally planned to be in Prague in June, but because of the never-ending pandemic, we've decided to relocate this to Salzburg during our summer program over there. So it'll be July 8th, 9, and 10. So for the two of you who are in Vienna, I hope you'll jump on the train and come and see me for the weekend and spend the weekend with me. So, and Danielle, Zurich is really not that far from Salzburg. So it would be it would be fantastic to see you this summer. And Carolina, I'll take you with me. So
I'm down.